in store for me.
Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris, man, and as always, I thank you guys for coming to another special episode of Tell It Like It Is. I'm your host, Morris, man, and my co-host is
Joseph Spencer.
And we're going to talk about something that needs to be talked about because this affects everybody. And what we try to do on this show, if not anything else, is educate young folks. Tell them about things that they're going to experience, and they're going to experience it, and how to prepare for it. Because, you know, things that take place in your later years, if you're successful, is because you practice or you prepared in your younger years. You don't start to try to put together a plan when you're 55. You put together a plan when you're 25, and by the time you get to 55, you've executed your plan well. And the topic is money and why this is important. We've been trying to, for the last couple of years, implement into this educational system in the high school level a class called Life Class. Because it's good to know that George Washington was the first president. But unless you're going to be a history teacher, that doesn't do anything for you as far as knowledge. It's not going to help or shape your life. But what does shape your life is when people tell you about things that you're going to experience and how to deal with them and how to prepare for them. And here is one of them as far as money. Young folks, take your ass to work as early as possible because this is how this system works. You go to work, you draw a paycheck for 40 years. During that time, the government takes money out to the side. It's called Social Security money. So when you get old and you can't work no more, you can live off that money. Your job has a plan, and most jobs do, not all of them, have a 4K1 plan or something equivalent to that. And they take a little money to the side and put it to the side so when you retire. And there's some companies where if you put more money in, they'll match that money. And then, you know, in your retirement, you can live off that money because there's going to come a time, unless you die untimely death, that you're going to be older, in bad health, not being able to work anymore. But guess what? Still got to pay your mortgage on your house or rent or whatever. Even if your house is paid for, you still got, you know, the light bill, the electric bill, the gas bill, and unexpected things, medicine and food. You know, so it's important to do that because when I worked for the government for like 24 years and I retired, before I retired, when I was in my, prime, in my 20s working there, from time to time I take a vacation day and I would go, take care of some business or go to the laundromat. And I noticed hardly nobody in the laundromat. I'm driving down the street to get to where I'm going to run these errands on my day off. Not a lot of traffic, few cars. Why? Because everybody was at work. Now, being retired, I go to somewhere in the middle of the day, 1 o'clock, it's jam-packed with people. And I'm not talking older retired people. I'm talking about young people in their 20s and 30s. And I'm saying to myself, what are the chances of all these people working a night job? Because if you work the night job, you'd be sleeping one in the afternoon,
yeah,
not
hey,
somewhere hanging out or doing business.
Hey, and when you have a bunch of young people who 40 years old and never had a job, I found out, I wanted to mention this earlier, I found out that 50% of black people are unemployed in the United States. 50%.
Now that's a lot of young folks.
That's a lot
we're
of
not talking older people that's about to retire or retire. We're talking about 20-year-old, 30-year-olds. Because here's the problem. You got some people, unfortunately, that are coddling their grown folks, letting them stay at home as long as they want, and still okay, you can stay here until you put together a plan and get a job and get out of here. But instead, you can stay as long as you want. Not realizing, being selfish, and keeping these people here because you're afraid to grow old by yourself, so you're going to keep your kids here. And they stay. And I'm like, here's a scenario, even if it supposedly worked out, that they stay, you die, they get your house. It's paid for. Somebody still got to pay the light bill. Somebody still got to pay the water bill. Somebody still pay the gas bill and the insurance on the house. So if your grown son has not been working, how's he going to maintain that?
With no skills.
Within a year, he's going to lose what you've built over a period of 50, 60 years. So
you black people have to stop depending on the persuasion, these other persuasions of people to come up with jobs. Black people of money and influence have got to come up with jobs for these young black people. I don't know what the rates are on how many black manufacturers there are, but I don't understand how come there are not huge manufacturing jobs owned by black people after 900 years of being in America.
And what's important is also education. That's the key to getting out the ghetto. Not rapping or shooting basketball, because guess what? For every one NBA player or sports professional that's on the roster and getting paid and playing, there's almost 1,000 of the guys that applied for these jobs. So 1 in 1,000, and those are the statistics now, because like 15 years ago it was 1 every 500. Now it has doubled. 1 out of 1,000 guys become a professional athlete. So you can't bank on that, because the odds are not in your favor.
It's not in your favor.
Education is the key. Some way or form, shape or form, you got to get yourself into college, you know, and get a degree and get a good job.
I've also seen young black people who got a degree that don't want to relocate to go to other cities for jobs. Talking about they can't leave their friends.
And you have a professional job, you have to leave.
You have to relocate. So how can you be 26, 27 years old and talking about you're not going to go to this $70,000 a year job? It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You know.
But go ahead.
You go.
But here is how this whole thing works as far as payroll, because it's interesting, because we talked about this, and this is what spawned this whole topic. There are 3 ways that you used to get paid, or should I say 3 ways. The first way was you got paid every week. A lot of jobs back in the 60s, you got paid every week. Second was every 2 weeks. Then the third one now is you get paid the 1st and the 15th. Now, I came into working on the first one. Then I remember the second one, which was an easy transition, because it was traditional that when you got your paycheck every other Friday, you took your family out to pizza or whatever, either Friday or Saturday. The third one is now the 1st and the 15th, and now it's like the 15th can fall on a Wednesday, so I can't do that no more. But that's a minor adjustment. But what's important is the third one is well, let me back up to the second one. The second one, you used to get paid every 2 weeks. 2 times out the year, you got a third paycheck because of the calendar. And that usually was in March sometime, you got a third check, and sometime in September, October. Now we're on this 1st and the 15th nonsense where you no longer get a third check. And what's interesting is the government is taxing you more on the same money, because that money has been redistributed, meaning that technically now, since you get paid on the 1st and the 15th, you get bigger checks. So they tax you on bigger checks.
Tax you on bigger checks.
But technically you're making the same money. They just redistributed the money to make it look like, you know, you're making more, but you're not.
You're going to have to learn this system so you won't get hung up in it. You have to, the average black man and woman should actually start saving money when they're 13, 14 years old. You got to get in some kind of money marketing. You got to get into to knowing about currency. And I'm not just talking about the American dollar. Currency, international currency.
And that's why we need a class in the education system called the life class, where we talk about these things that it's going to affect everybody at some point in time. Because here's something interesting. The #1 killer in black men, aside from the police, is prostate cancer. Prostate cancer could easily be reduced simply by doing this. You start at 13 to 14 years old, start buying pumpkin seeds. Eat a couple of pumpkin seeds, handful a day for the rest of your life. Pumpkin seeds are extremely inexpensive. There's some type of ingredient in pumpkin seed that keeps the prostate from ballooning up when you're 40 years old, because around the time you get 40, your prostate starts to balloon up and you go into the bathroom 60 times a night, and then you start to develop cancer. That will reduce that, you know. And it's interesting because, again, that's just something simple that I just passed on to you guys to say, you know what, I'm going to start doing that. And trust me, your prostate will thank you 30 years down the line.
He just proved the point that money begets information, and information begets money.
Yeah, but let's close it off here, because we don't want our camera shutting off again. So that's it in a nutshell. Go out there, start working to build that income for you in the past or in the future, so you'll have money when you're at a stage in your life where you no longer can work, but you still have to pay your rent or your mortgage. Even your house is paid for. Food rate goes up, the bills goes up, gas, light, medication. So, you know, if you're on a fixed income and your bills are still doing this, you got a problem. That's why it's important to start early. And let me just say this quickly. The best advice I can give a young man, especially a young black man these days, Stop going out there having kids with everybody that you're screwing. You know, and there's nothing wrong with getting together with a woman that you like and y'all doing an intimate thing, but don't let a child come out of this reunion as a result of that if you don't plan on marrying that woman or having a long-term relationship with her and your child. That's the reason why we're having problems in our major cities with violence. Young, misguided black men are shooting and killing each other like they lost their mind because nobody whooped their ass when they were younger, like a father in the household that we had, keeping us in check. That's the problem. You could take all the guns in the street off the street today. It ain't gonna change the violence until you change the structure of how things are working and unfolding. Until next time, take care.